Будем проводить сегодня прямой эфир с пиццейола из Таиланда, Бангкок. Это на самом деле уже наш третий прямой эфир из Таиланда и второй прямой эфир из Бангкока. Поэтому это какое-то место силы по приготовлению пиццы. Сегодня мы встречаемся с Фэнг Чен. Она живет и трудится в Бангкоке. Она амбассадор компании Уни, это производитель дровяных газовых печей для пиццы. Также она очень любит contemporary стиль в неаполитанской пицце, поэтому мы сегодня приготовим пиццу contemporary, классику, маргариту. Поговорим про тесто, про пиццу, про ее путь пиццейола. Это нас первая девушка пиццейола в прямых эфирах. Я очень рада видеть. И сейчас мы подождем, когда Фэнг к нам присоединится. Со связью могут быть проблемы. Пожалуйста, не отключайтесь. Мы обязательно переподключимся, если что-то пойдет не так. Возобновим прямой эфир, поэтому, если что, тоже подключайтесь заново, не теряйте нас.
Hello. How are you,
Hi.
Victoria?
Hi. I'm really great. I'm really excited to see you and to start our live stream. So thank you very much. I really appreciate your time, and I really appreciate that you're today you're joining our live stream, and today you are with us, and you will show some magic from you about the
I will try. No, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited. I'm nervous, but I'm really excited.
No, you shouldn't be nervous because everything will be fine. I'm sure. So, yeah, let's cross everything. So, I just told to our followers, our guys, that today we are going to talk to you about everything about pizza making and your way to pizza, and of course, make some cool pizza margherita with you. And yeah. And yes, of course, I will take some time to translate everything to our guys from Russia. And of course, you can tell everything you want to your subscribers in English. So I will just translate a few minutes. It will take some minutes to translate what's going on here. So, итак, мы просто обсудили с Фэнг, что мы будем сегодня делать. Она очень переживает, поэтому ваши реакции в комментариях будут, кстати, чтобы ее поддержать. So, let's start from what?
Oh, sure.
Let's start.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. So I wanted to kind of give some context to those who've joined. Victoria from Pizza Szkola in Moscow was very kind to invite me to join her in this live today. So she reached out a few weeks ago, and I don't often go live. Maybe you've noticed, but I thought, if someone reaches out to go live, why not? So yeah, today we're gonna make a pizza margherita with an 85% hydration sourdough dough ball. It's all about the dough today, margherita, no surprises there. And let's see what comes out of the oven, huh? So for those of you who follow Pizza Szkola and maybe have never seen my account, I'm Feng. Hello, nice to meet you. And I make pizza every day. I eat pizza every day. It's a good life, no regrets. I love it, and it gives me a lot of happiness every day, and I'm very grateful for that. So if I can share a slice of that, that makes me feel great.
Yeah, I just translated to our guys, to our followers. Так, ребята, Фэнг, конечно же, всех поблагодарила, нас поблагодарила за приглашение на наш прямой эфир. Сегодня она будет готовить пиццу маргариту, как я уже сказала. Кстати, гидратация будет 85%. Это очень высокая гидратация. Очень интересно будет посмотреть, как она работает с таким тестом. Мы поговорим много про тесто. Она его делала с закваской, поэтому спрошу обязательно у нее о том, как она готовила закваску. И посмотрим, что у нас получится в печи и из печи. Я хотела просто сказать, что Фэнг, я как-то год назад наткнулась на ее сайт, когда искала информацию про закваски и про неаполитанскую пиццу. Это потрясающий человек, который воплощает все свои идеи, удивительные идеи, креативный шеф. И на самом деле я очень рада нашему прямому эфиру, потому что именно такие люди таких людей должны видеть, как они готовят, что они готовят, и напитываться тоже креативом, напитываться восторгом от того, как она это делает и с какой любовью. So I just explained to guys that I've saw your website and your, of course, page on Instagram, and it's really creative and talented work that you do. So we are really inspired. You are inspiring. So we are really excited to see your work.
Thank you.
So let's make pizza, and then we can continue to talk about the dough and about everything.
Let's do it. All right. So you're in my house, by the way. This is my house, everyone. So welcome. Make yourself at home.
Дома.
This is my kitchen bench, and I'm going to jump right behind and where I make pizza at home every day. So one thing really fun for me is that making pizza at home and making pizza at like the pop-up are totally different. Well, of course, the same thing is that we're trying to make the best pizza that we can. So that's the same wherever I'm making the pizza. But what's different is at the pop-up, I'm trying to make pizzas as fast as possible because we don't want customers to wait. But at home, I have time, and I'm actually trying to make pizzas as neat as possible so that I have less to clean up. So that is the main difference. So if there are any home pizza makers watching, maybe, like, I don't know if I'll have any tips, but maybe to see kind of like my workflow at home, I hope it helps. But yeah, like, so talking about being neat, oh yeah, of course, have to show the star. It's a very jiggly 85%. Because it's 85%, that's why it's kind of quite flattened out, because it's just weight and gluten. But yeah, talking about being neat, right? This is why I've got this barrier at the front of the table to catch all the semolina so that it doesn't just go onto my floor. And then we've got the peel over here. And so we've got this like L-shaped semolina barrier that will make cleaning up later a lot easier. And so we're just gonna get our dough.
Фэн говорил о том, что она готовит пиццу каждый день, и готовить пиццу дома и готовить пиццу в заведении — это два разных подхода, потому что в заведении она готовит более быстрое тесто, а при приготовлении дома пиццы она может позволить как раз длительную ферментацию, длительное созревание теста, поэтому это два разных подхода, о чем она сказала. И она сказала о том, что немного плоским выглядит шарик пиццы, потому что высокая как раз гидратация, высокое содержание воды в тесте. So, Feng, you put the pizza ball into the flour?
Yeah, so this is just very fine semolina rimacinata. Hope that right. I did.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I do to avoid making a mess of the flour is that I actually start to press out the dough in the flour when I'm working with anything over 75% hydration. So for kind of lower hydration doughs, I'll just open it on the counter as you would normally. But for our waterier doughs, I will start to press it out in the bowl itself. So I'll go ahead and start doing that.
Фэн поместила шарик пиццебол в семолину, и она говорит о том, что уже растягивать, да, видите, она нажимает на шарик пальчиками, а уже растягивать она начинает в муке, И работать таким образом с тестом она начинает с 75% гидратации теста. Если гидратация ниже, то она работает с тестом на столе.
Yeah.
So you're pressing the pizza ball
Yeah.
to press out
Right.
some
Hold on, let me
some air bubbles.
come and show you guys how this is looking. So yeah, we've got our dough, it's kind of buried in the flour, and then we've got our cornicione starting to form. Right? And then this is the part where I'll transfer it out onto the table. But I just wanted to show you guys our cute little dough ball.
Вы видите, насколько большой бортик Фэн оставляет. Вообще это, в принципе, такая характерная черта contemporary пиццы, но мы об этом поговорим чуть позже, когда уже приготовим пиццу и насладимся ее внешним видом.
Cool.
So, Fan, you're working with the dough really smooth, yeah? Just not to stretch it out really hard. Not really hard. Not really
so yeah, the first step, we just kind of made the border, made sure to trap as much air as we can in that border, and also made sure that the air that we trap is even. Because when you have kind of parts of the crust that are uneven, they're going to like rise and bake first before the dips in the crust. So I'm trying to get that even border around the pizza. And then we're going to stretch it out now. So because it's 85, it's really easy to stretch. Like you don't have to do much. And that's pretty much done, like almost. Yeah.
Yeah. A couple of minutes and it is done.
And then it's time to get topping pretty much. I'm just kind of...
Да, вы видите, насколько мягкое, эластичное тесто, поэтому буквально несколько движений, очень аккуратно Фэн работает с тестом, потому что оно максимально мягкое, даже вот немножко даже текучее такое вот тесто получается. It's not really much sticky, yeah?
Okay, so it is definitely a little bit more fragile because of the water, but if you're working with higher hydration doughs and you're able to develop the gluten during the bulk ferment and the kneading, then you end up with a dough that's not too difficult to work with. And of course, using the correct flour. So this one has a W of 290 to 300. And that's pretty strong. So yeah, our dough's holding together today, which is great.
Фэн говорит о том, что, в принципе, тесто довольно эластичное, но не рвется, потому что, в том числе потому, что она использует еще и сильную муку. Сила муки у нее 290-300 в данном замесе. И также она сказала про созревание теста, то есть оно у нее созревает сначала в объеме, далее она делит его уже на пиццеболы, и уже потом пиццеболы созревают в холодильнике. По таймингам я у нее уточню, сколько, в каком формате тесто созревает, в течение какого периода, но мы немножко позже пообщаемся.
Yeah.
So, Fan, next we're going to put some sauce on it.
That's right. So we've got our tomato sauce over here. This is just tomato and salt. And then something that I do a little bit different is that I find that my tomato sauce is a little bit on the thicker end. And that's because I like to use fresh mozzarella for my cheese. So, you know, I've kind of tried to offset the moisture on that by using a thicker sauce. This is something I played around with a lot, and this is the kind of the match that I like. So, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do that.
В соусе только томаты и соль, все, что она использует для соуса.
All right.
И Фэн использует свежую моцареллу для приготовления пиццы маргариты, ну, такая классика жанра. So it's all the classic way, like you cook the margarita like in a classic way, with the pizza, with the fresh mozzarella, and
yeah.
maybe some oil, some
Oh,
extra virgin
yeah.
oil.
I think, well, another reason why I like using the fresh mozzarella, if I can, is because also with fresh mozzarella, you're able to use it either post-bake or pre-bake. So you can choose to just add it as a topping afterwards, which I like to do when I have prosciutto on there. I love fresh mozzarella and prosciutto. But with like, what's it called? Low moisture mozzarella, you can only use that for the bake, right? So to me, fresh mozzarella is a little bit more versatile in terms of the final pizza that you get. So that's one benefit. I'm just getting the mozzarella from the fridge right now.
Okay.
But of course, before that, this is some Parmigiano Reggiano. So I like to do that first, so that
Немного пармезан.
Parmigiano Reggiano. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
It's like parmesan in Russian. It's like
Got it.
parmesan.
Got it. Okay, so this is my fresh mozzarella. When possible, I like to try to order the curds, and then I kind of stretch them out myself so that I can make them the size that I like. It's not always available, but when it's available, that's what I do, and that's what I've done today. So this is our fresh mozzarella. I always do this over the sink because, you know, the water will spill out, so...
Yeah. Фэн использует моцареллу фьордолатте, ну, свежую моцареллу, так называемую, и она ее делает самостоятельно. Можно посмотреть на ее веб-сайте, кстати, у нее есть там рецепт. И вот этот шарик, it's really cute, yeah, just show us a little bit closer. Yeah,
sorry,
a little mozzarella ball.
This is like pumpkin size, you know, like... So yeah, I'll just start to tear that and scatter it over the pizza.
Она просто разрывает моцареллу на кусочки.
Now, just purely for appearance, I like my mozzarella to be like different size chunks because I want like some variety on the pizza. But yeah, just purely vanity. Nothing, doesn't affect the final flavor very much. But yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's always fun to see what comes out of the oven.
Разрывает. Yeah. Она разрывает разными кусочками моцареллу, чтобы, ну, она более интересно смотрелась после выпечки. Разными размерами.
Okay, and then last but not least, we've got some basil. So what I like to do with the basil is I like to kind of tear them off their stem and then pour olive oil on them because that coating of olive oil helps them to not blacken in the oven. So that's what I'm about to do.
Надорвала листики базилика и сбрызнет их оливковым маслом, чтобы они не почернели при приготовлении.
So yeah, this is just extra virgin olive oil.
Ну, сейчас можно видеть.
And then, yeah, so I'll put these on the pizza, and then with the leftover olive oil, that's what I'll sprinkle on the pizza as well.
То есть она положит сейчас листики базилика в оливковом масле и еще немного добавит оливкового масла сверху пиццы перед выпечкой. Ну, такая классика жанра маргарита. Но весь секрет здесь, конечно же, в тесте.
But yeah, it's definitely... Making pizza at home is so much more relaxing compared to doing it, you know, for customers. You have to really try to just get that pizza out because you don't want to keep people waiting. But when you're at home, you can take your time and really enjoy every step of the way. So I hope you all kind of feel relaxed watching me do this. I hope I'm not stressing anyone out right now. Like, what are you doing?
Oh no. This is a really amazing process when somebody works and you just see it.
Yeah. That's our margarita. So, all right. We're just about to put that on the peel, but I just wanted to explain to everyone, there's a bird's nest outside underneath the oven, so Victoria's going to keep talking to you all while I silently cook my pizza in order not to scare them. So right now, because they're there, and right now they're incubating eggs, so they're all the time sitting on the eggs. I'm trying to work very quietly so that, yeah, they don't get stressed.
Мы сейчас выйдем на балкон к Фэн, чтобы она уже начала приготовление пиццы в печи. Она объяснила то, что у нее внизу под балконом птички сидят. Вот, поэтому она будет работать очень тихо. Скорее всего, выключит звук, поэтому я с вами останусь и буду комментировать процесс. Она тихонечко будет готовить пиццу. Вот такое у нас включение природы в прямом эфире происходит. Видно, что тесто очень влажное, оно очень тяжелое, поэтому было видно, насколько оно так неохотливо заходило на лопату. Это нормальный абсолютно процесс. Я думаю, что ребята, кто готовит, кто работает с тестом высокой гидратации, знает, что нужно приловчиться к такому тесту. Нужно очень много раз попробовать это сделать и, в общем, опытным путем. Потом это делать уже, возможно, более быстро. Okay. Я так думаю, мы перемещаемся.
And I'm just bringing you guys to the oven so you can see what's...
You have an amazing window view.
Thank you. I've been living in this apartment for 7 years, and yeah, it doesn't get old.
Yeah.
Okay, great. You can see the oven. Okay, this is great.
Yeah.
Oh,
the picture is amazing. So you have a.
So the bird's nest is right there. I'll show you guys later. Right. I'll be quiet.
Здесь у нас птички. Yeah, okay. Вот она как раз пальчиком показала, где у нее птички гнездятся сейчас. Это очень мило. Максимально. Я вижу, что Фэн использует, скорее всего, газовую печь Уни. Это домашняя печь для пиццы. Вот мы видим, что там справа горит огонек, но, скорее всего, это газ. Я спрошу у нее... Да. Это гозни, да. Просто одна из направлений, у них одна из печей называется Уни, это гозни. Тот же производитель. Модель просто другая. Я спрошу у нее о температурных режимах, конечно же, на которых она готовит пиццу. Секрет в приготовлении пиццы, то, что мы ее кладем прямо на пот, на керамический, и стараемся при повороте ее возвращать на то же место, куда мы положили, чтобы пицца у нас не подгорела. Мне кажется, я слышу птичек. Если вы тоже слышите, дайте сигнал в комментариях. Ну вот, да, скорее всего, это, конечно, газовая модель. Видно, что нету никакого дымохода, нету никаких дымов выходящих. Это очень удобно, да, когда у вас на балконе вы можете разместить пицца-печь и готовить такую потрясающую пиццу у себя дома. Yeah, great.
Oh, pizza.
yeah, it looks amazing.
Okay, sorry. I've just increased the volume of my phone back. Okay, let's do this so that you guys can sit with me. Does that work?
Yeah.
Hey, it's pizza time! Yay, my favorite! Okay. So, full disclosure, guys, I got a hole in my pizza today, like a very small one. So that's why I decided to bake it a little bit, I call it blonde. Like usually I'm cooking my pizza a bit brunette, just like me. But today we've got a bit more of a blonde crust, like Victoria.
Yeah. Like,
yeah, maybe I should just pretend that I meant for that to happen. But yeah, we have our beautiful puffy crust. Like, do you see that? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's really soft.
I love it. And then I love like soft with a bit of crunch. Oh, but look at this bubble right here. That's cool.
Yeah. You just can play with it all day
sure.
long.
And what I love is I love when you're able to see light through that crust. So like over here, for example. Yeah, just like small.
Yeah,
it's the details, right? So it's a bit hot right now to eat it immediately. And I'm really curious what you guys talked about while I was in silent mode. But
yeah, I just told just a second, I will translate to our Russian followers. Итак, Фэн приготовила у нас пиццу Маргариту, да? Мы просто обсудили борта пиццы. Она сказала, что сегодня она сделала ее в таком стиле, больше блонд стиле, то есть она такая более светлая. Обычно она делает более такую поджаристую, золотистую корочку. Видно было, насколько мягкая корочка у пиццы, насколько мягкий бортик. Видно было, какие пузыри. Она говорит то, что вот эта часть внутренней пузырей, она прозрачная. Это видно на видео, насколько они воздушные, насколько они прозрачные и смотрятся абсолютно потрясающе. Я думаю, что этот эффект как раз достигнут за счет высокой гидратации теста. И сейчас, конечно же, Фэн попробует кусочек. Мы будем наблюдать за этим действием прекрасным. So you can maybe to cut it.
So I used to do it,
show,
contemporary style.
Yeah.
And yeah, the reason why in the contemporary style pizza everyone uses scissors is because apart from being fast, it preserves the aeration in the dough really well. So yeah, in a moment I'll show you guys what kind of structure we have in the dough today. That's one of the things that I love to see as well, like what inside of the crust looks like every day.
Yeah. Фэн разрезает ножницами пиццу, потому что, ну, мало того, что это довольно быстро сделать с таким типом теста, но и ножницы как раз позволяют оставить нетронутым вот этот вот пышный очень край, не заминать его, как делает это нож. Let's see what's inside. Amazing. Yeah, it's bubbles and everywhere. Потрясающий борт.
What I love is, these bubbles. Sorry. And then also a nice cookie crust because like that is the caramelized flavor. So yeah, this and this, my two favorite parts of the crust.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I totally agree. Мы видим, the best part of all of this.
Oh man, it doesn't get old.
I can also, I can only imagine how tasty is it. Yeah, how tasty. Мы видим, да, какие крупные пузырики внутри борта. Видно, что тесто хорошо поднялось, хорошо созрело. Оно легкое, мягкое, оно сочное при этом. Оно сочное. И посмотрите, какой потрясающий был низ у теста. Пропеченный, золотистый. Это 10 из 10. This is the high quality dough. It's just soft. It looks really good with all these bubbles. It's I can only imagine how tasty is it. I'm envy.
Oh yeah, it would be. Oh my gosh, it would be way different if we were actually kind of having this like together. That would be so awesome. Oh, I also love getting sauce on the crust. Oh my gosh, like, 'cause you get both the puffiness of the crust and the tastiness of the sauce in the same bite. So yeah, it's all these little things, like it may just be one pizza, but there's so many little aspects of it to enjoy every time you make one. So.
Да, Фэн говорил о том, что ей очень нравится, что на бортик немного попадает соус, и это очень сочно получается и очень вкусно есть бортик вместе с соусом. Фэн, we were talking about the oven actually when you've been cooking the pizza. I just told the guys that this is a gourmet oven. Yes, this is the gas-fired oven.
So this is the Gauzy dome. It can take both gas as well as wood fire. I got this one in, I think it was February, and it's totally different to using the Rockbox. So before February, I was using just the Rockbox, which I still love. I still love the Rockbox. It's great because it's portable, so you can take it everywhere, while the dome is not really something you want to be moving around a lot unless you're really strong, which is great. But with the dome, you have so much floor space. And also the flame, there's a lot more room between the flame and the pizza. So you can get a lot more different results depending on where you cook the pizza in the oven, the flame, how much you've preheated the oven. I feel like I'm still exploring this oven. I haven't found like my formula yet for this oven. Like I'm still changing every time. And it's been 3 months, and it's been really fun to kind of explore and experiment with different ways of making pizza in this just one oven, right? But yeah, it's a Gauzy.
Фэн как раз рассказала о печи. Это Гозни печь, Гозни дом. Это вот модель побольше, чем их вот эти переносные печки небольшие. Она ее приобрела всего лишь в феврале этого года, и до сих пор она говорит, что работает с этой печью, экспериментирует до сих пор. Интересно ей разные режимы попробовать. Данная печь на газе работает и может работать на дровах. И ей нравится то, что пламя как раз заходит как в любых классических европейских печах, пламя заходит на купол и, собственно, дает жар пиццы, и вот получается такой вот особенный краст, особенный как раз леопардовость вот этого теста за счет высоких температур. So what was the temperature that you've been cooking in the pizza oven? What was the temperature?
So today the built-in thermometer was 430. So I like to bake between 400 and 450 degrees Celsius. That's anywhere in that zone is my favorite. But yeah, it's on days that I want something a bit different, I might go a bit lower to do a low and slow bake, and then you'll get a crispier crust, more caramelization, and it's all good too. You'll just get a totally different result even though you're using the same dough. Yeah. Cool.
Фэн говорит, что она обычно готовит такое тесто от 400 до 450 градусов. Сегодня она готовила на 430 градусах. Но вообще можно экспериментировать, конечно, и работать на температуре чуть ниже, и тем самым увеличивая время карамелизации продуктов. То есть здесь можно получить совершенно разный результат на одном и том же тесте. Поэтому призывает всех экспериментировать. And it's been, I think, about 2-3 minutes the dough was in the
maybe oven. I think today was a shorter bake because of reasons we've discussed earlier. So I think it was about a minute. I don't know. Yeah, it was about 60 seconds. Yeah.
It was really fast.
So
Afterwards we can
that's
count
right.
when we have the video.
Totally.
We can
So
count.
I'm gonna stop eating so that I can actually properly chat with you. But I just wanted to kind of put this out there in case anyone is in a similar situation as I am today. If you have a Neapolitan style pizza that you want to eat later, the best way to reheat it is on the pan. Don't reheat it in the microwave. Don't reheat it in the oven. You can just do it on a pan and you get like a beautiful soft crust, almost as good as fresh baked. So that's what I'm going to do later. I hope that helps.
Она говорит то, что если вы хотите неаполитанскую пиццу съесть немного позже, yes, I have to translate.
No.
Yeah. Да, если вы хотите поесть неаполитанскую пиццу позже, то ни в коем случае не разогревайте там ее в микроволновке или в духовке, то это можно сделать просто на сковороде. So, Fan, let's talk about your way to pizza and how it was, how it just came up that you started to make pizza and why pizza and why contemporary.
Okay, so I think there were two main things that I experienced that happened in my life that kind of led to me eating pizza every day. It's been 2 years now, by the way. So I've been eating pizza every day for 2 years. And I'm not sure how long it's going to keep going for, as long as possible, really. So the first one is my first time trying a long fermented dough at a restaurant. So this restaurant's called Délices du Capu. It's in Ekamai in Bangkok. And their dough is a 72-hour dough. And I remember the first time eating it and just being blown away by the flavor. And also the digestibility. I think I could notice that after I ate their pizza, I didn't feel bad. I didn't feel heavy. I felt no regret. Yeah. It was great. And the second thing was the Gosney Rock Box. So before the Gosney Rock Box, I never knew that there were small pizza ovens. I always thought a pizza oven had to be the large restaurant size traditional pizza oven. So that's not something that realistically I can fit in my house, right? Although I would love to be able to, if I could have a house big enough where I could have a full-size wood-fire oven. Okay, sure, why not? Yeah. But I don't have that. This apartment, you guys have pretty much seen the whole thing today. And so as soon as I found out about this tiny oven, I think that unlocked this possibility for me to have pizza, for me to practice pizza making. And when I first started, I wasn't sure how long I was going to do it for, but I knew I wanted to get good at it, or at least try to get decent at it, to make like a circular pizza, So I set myself a goal of making 100 pizzas, one every day, so that I wouldn't give up too early, because it does take some skill. It does take practice. And after doing 100 of these pizzas, I've just kept going since. So I haven't stopped since I started. And that's what's happened. And here we are.
Let me just
sure, go ahead. No worries.
I just translated to guys. Я спросила Фэн, как так получилось, что она начала готовить пиццу, ее путь в этом деле, и она сказала, что 2 факта, которые способствовали ее развитию в этом направлении. Первое, она попробовала первый раз в ресторане пиццу из теста с долгим созреванием. В этом ресторане 72 часа созревало тесто, и это просто перевернуло ее представление и влюбило в пиццу, в этот особенный вкус созревшего теста. Мы знаем, что после созревания длительного тесто становится более легким, более воздушным. Это все очень произвело на нее впечатление. И второй момент, она приобрела портабельную как раз небольшую пицца-печь дровяную, в которой она начала готовить пиццу. И каждый день она готовит продолжает готовить и готовила каждый день пиццу. 2 года уже, как она на этом пути и занимается этим, и не перестает, не прекращает, и совершенствуется с каждым разом. Сейчас давайте поговорим конкретно про тесто, которое она сегодня готовила. Фэн, and about the dough that you made today. What is so special about it? And yes, what is let's explain to our followers what is contemporary pizza and what is so special about it.
Okay. I'll explain it, and then while you're translating, I'm gonna go get another dough ball, and then also my starter to show everyone. But yeah, okay. So this is a sourdough pizza dough, and then I think what's contemporary about it is that traditionally, like very, very purely traditionally, you wouldn't go that high up in hydration. Like a traditional Neapolitan pizza is maybe 60 to 70 already being very high, right? But today we did 85, so that's something unusual. And the reason why the benefit or the difference in going higher is that your dough becomes really tender. What I loved about how Ethan Spicer of his handle is at Naturally Leaving Pizza put it, he called it melt in your mouth, and it really does. Like when you go that high in hydration, it's so beautiful. And then of course, like you know what I'm talking about. And like, look, sorry, let me just show the structure. You get like, you know, that translucency over here, like that laciness of the crumb. Like that's what you get when you go higher hydration, right? Like, oh my gosh. And yeah, it tastes totally different. You can use the same flour and just change the hydration, and you'll get totally different tastes. And then you add on the sourdough. So again, well, maybe in more ancient times, maybe that was actually traditional before we had instant yeast and fresh yeast that's been, you know, commercially made. Or, but these days, it's not counted as traditional to do sourdough, which is kind of funny because I feel like we're just going in one big circle, right? Because in the past, of course, it was sourdough. So what I love about sourdough is the flavor. And again, like at different gradations, and then the temperature in which you mature your dough will affect the final flavors in the dough. And there's so many things, so many little levers you can do, you can play with to change the outcome of your pizza. So, for example, you can have a more yogurty, dairy-like sourness, or you could have a more vinegary-like sourness. Depending on what you like, you can develop that in your pizza dough. And you can increase the sourness or decrease it. It's up to you. It's up to what you like. And yeah, it's really cool. Like, I feel like my ideal pizza keeps changing as I learn more about pizza. Like, as I learn what's possible, my dream pizza keeps changing, you know, like it becomes more and more impossible.
Yeah. So, Фэн сказала то, что... Я спросила у нее про тесто. Okay. Я спросила у нее про тесто, что она использовала сегодня. Она говорит то, что он работает сейчас с заквасочным тестом, с использованием закваски. И чем contemporary пицца отличается от, так скажем, традиционной неаполитанской пиццы? Тем, что разная гидратация, конечно же, во-первых. То есть классическая неаполитана — это от 60 до 70% содержания воды. Здесь мы использовали 85%, да, можете себе представить. И как раз вот этот такой нюанс в высоком содержании воды, он позволяет сделать тесто более мягким, более эластичным, более прозрачным, вот таким, как пленочка, вот, которую она показывала прямо на видео. Конечно же, больший край, он более пышный получается, более наполненный пузырями. Такая получается более, так скажем, богатая не только визуально пицца, но и, конечно же, по вкусовым характеристикам, потому что в классике в Неаполе, конечно, мы просто используем живые дрожжи при замесе, а в contemporary стиле мы можем, конечно же, уйти и на сухие дрожжи, и дополнительно использовать еще и вот закваску. И как раз про закваску она говорила, что с помощью работы с закваской вы можете регулировать кислотность своего теста, кислотность вкуса, делать его более насыщенным за счет длительного созревания, делать его более богатым, ароматику повышать, потому что мы знаем, да, что мука она не имеет вкуса, вкус как раз дает вот эта работа дрожжей в течение созревания теста. И, конечно же, использование разных температурных режимов, то есть при созревании, то есть мы можем и, чтобы тесто созревало и при комнатной температуре, и в холодной, в холодильнике при холоде. И сейчас я думаю, что она покажет закваску свою, и я спрошу, каким образом она ее готовила, что это за закваска, может быть, это там бига либо пулиш. Fan, and this is the sourdough that you are going to show us.
Yeah.
So, just a little secret.
So this is my my what's it called? My sidekick. So this, I have named my starter. My starter's name is Saturday because Saturday was born on a Saturday, and also because Saturday is the best day of the week, in my opinion. So Saturday lives in the fridge until I need to kind of work with him or her, them. I need to work with, yeah, sorry. And sourdough, this is a rye starter. And what I do is I'm basically making dough every 3 days. So every 3 days I'll make a batch. And the first step of the process is to give my starter a feed to refresh it so that it's nice and active again. And then while I'm refreshing the yeast, that's when I'll do an autolyse. Autolyse. That's how you say it. Apparently, autolyse, I think. So it will take about 3 hours for this starter to peak. And that's why I also have this rubber band. This is a rubber band that I just keep around the mustard jar. Very, fancy equipment. And so, the flour gets to autolyse for 3 hours. And after 3 hours, it's so easy to knead. I'm also hand kneading. I don't use a machine unless it's for the pop-up. Then obviously I have to use a machine. I'm not opposed to using machines. I just really like the experience of hand kneading. Like you get to actually feel how the dough is developing that day. And yeah, it's nice. It's therapeutic. Yeah.
So you're just mixing the flour and the
water so this is to make the rye starter and flour. What I love about rye starters is how much. So rye naturally has a lot of amazing enzymes. So this is a very powerful starter. Like I don't have to worry about it at all. I've left it. Okay. I hope I'm not gonna offend anyone who's very attentive to their starters, but I have left this starter unfed for a month and it's been fine. And yeah, that's what I love about the rye starter. One, the flavor, and second, its robustness and its strength because of all the enzymes.
Ну, Фэн говорит о том, что вот она использует закваску, это на самом деле стартер, то есть это не классическая закваска, там, бига или пулиш, то есть она использует автолиз, это просто смесь муки и воды. И она ее хранит в холодильнике и периодически подкармливает. Каждые 3 дня она делает замесы и, собственно, использует часть закваски. And how much do you use this starter in when you mix in the dough, the final?
So lately, for the last maybe 20 to 40 batches of dough that I've made, I've been using 3% starter, which is very low. There's 2 reasons for that. One, I live in a warm climate. It is 35 degrees Celsius here right now. Like it's very hot. So, yeasts and all the other bacteria in in this tend to be a lot more active than if you were in a cold climate. Secondly, I like that using less starter means that the dough takes a bit longer to ferment, because the more time the dough takes to ferment, the more flavors you kind of slowly develop in that dough, right? So that's the reason why I use such a low inoculation.
And Fan, we had the question about the starter. So you use the same amount of flour and the water for the starter?
So actually,
or you
I have been keeping an 80% hydration starter lately. I just kind of preferred the flavor that I got at this slightly lower hydration. It's not a pasta madre by any means, but it's not 100%. Yeah, I played around with using 100%, 90%, 80, 70, down to 50. And I figured out that I like the flavor of the 80% hydration starter in the final dough the best. I'm not just eating the starter on its own. And yeah, that's the only reason why I use 80%. So again, it would be up to your personal preference, and you just kind of have to try the different hydrations of starters to figure out which one you like the best.
Фэн рассказала то, что использует 3% при замесе, 3% стартера, потому что ей нравится то, что при таком распределении закваски к основному объему муки есть возможность как раз дольше держать тесто на созревании. Она, я думаю, использует и холодное созревание в том числе. Что касается закваски, то еще был уточняющий вопрос, потому насколько закваска, тоже какая у нее гидратация, то есть сколько использовалось воды. Она говорит то, что она работает и со 100% гидратацией закваски, и с 80%, и до 50%. Здесь уже все на ваш вкус, как вы будете ее заводить, какой процент воды использовать, но по ее вкусу 80% гидратация закваски самая лучшая для формирования вкуса уже и конечного теста. And about the final mixing of the dough, what is the recipe of your super dough? What is the best recipe? What do you think? Can you share us the recipe of your dough?
So it's on my website, in case anyone wants to have a reference for later. But to be honest with you, I would change the recipe based on the flour that I'm using. So I found that with different flours and their different strengths and ash contents, the different characteristics of each flour, there's a different kind of hydration that each flour can take. And I think it's really cool to kind of respect that and optimize around the flour. Or at least that's what I do. Like I like to kind of try to, I guess, take a flour and get the best result out of that particular flour and not try to force that flour to be something it isn't. So that's kind of my approach with my recipe. So it will depend on the flour that I'm using. This one is so strong, which is why I've pushed it to 85. The previous batch I made with this flour was 87%. And I think it could go up to 90, but there is a point at which the dough becomes too soft for my preference. Like I want it to be soft and still have crunch on the outside layer. So like that's like the balance that I'm trying to do, right? But for example, with Caputo Pizzeria, right? I think 70 is already very high hydration for Caputo Pizzeria specifically, right? I think 65 to 68 is like the best for Caputo Pizzeria, but I usually go with 70 because I'm too stubborn to go below 70. It's like there's no good reason why I'm doing 70% hydration with pizzeria. But yeah, those are just examples for how I kind of change up the recipe for the flour. Everything else is the same though. Today you were using which flour or which company? Oh, so this one is an interesting one. So there is a pizza place here called Pizza Masilia, and the chef there has developed his own flour, and he sent me couple of kilos to test. So I've been testing this flour. I think they're about to make it available to market next week in Bangkok. I'm not, and maybe like in the future they'll make it available in more countries. But yeah, like right now this is a blend of flours developed by a pizza chef here that I've been playing with, and it's been fun.
Yeah, it's interesting. Фэн сказала то, что ее рецептура, ну, я уже так подошла к рецептуре теста, основного замеса, она сейчас с нами поделится рецептом обязательно. Она сказала то, что рецептура меняется, и меняется она в зависимости от того, какую муку она использует, и от силы, и даже от марки, потому что вот она вскользь сказала про капуто для пиццерии мука, есть такая у них линейка, то здесь она максимум использует с ней 70-75% гидратации. Сегодня она использовала вообще смесь, которую сделал шеф из местного ресторана, который планирует запустить свою марку муки, и ей выслали просто на пробу на тест, и с этой мукой, с этим миксом, да, авторским, так скажем, она сделала замес 80% гидратации, но говорит о том, что нужно смотреть на то, какую муку вы используете, насколько она сильная, что за производитель. В общем, нужно экспериментировать и приходить к своему какому-то балансу между вкусом и визуальной составляющей теста, потому что кому-то нравится более мягкое тесто, более сырое даже, да, при Неаполе. А для кого-то хочется, чтобы сохранял форму корочка, бортик, вот как, о чем как раз говорит Фэн. So, about the main thing, about the recipe. What is all about?
Okay.
Yeah.
So just now I went away to get my notebook. So these scribbles, each one of these is one batch, right? So hold on, I don't know if my phone can focus enough for you to see one batch. I don't know if you can see that. It looks a bit blurry. But basically with each batch, it will say the percentage of starter. So typically, lately I've been doing 3%. The hydration, as mentioned before, that would be according to what flour we're using that day. How long I've auto-leased it for, and then the flour that I'm using. I also really like to blend flour, so I really love blending a 0-0 for its amazing extensibility. Along with like type 1 or type 0 for their amazing flavor, because like, yeah, I love the flavor that like a type 1 or 0 will bring. So I really like maybe like a 60-40 or a 70-30 where majority is 0-0, but then you do have a large amount of the flour that is a type 0 or type 1. And then my salt level is usually 3%. With this, because it was an 85% hydration dough, I find that I like it a little bit saltier the more water you add, because, you know, water does actually make you perceive that dough to be less salty. So this one with like a 3.5% salt. But generally, it's kind of 3% starter, 3% salt, very easy to remember. Hydrations according to the flour, and then 100% flour.
Yeah, let me just translate this to the guys. Итак, Фэн говорит о том, что, ну, как мы уже обсудили, она использует 3% стартера для своего замеса основного. То есть мы берем 100% муки. От муки мы берем 3% закваски стартера. Далее мы берем 3% соли, но она говорит о том, что чем выше гидратация, то имеет смысл, возможно, попробовать увеличить количество соли, чтобы было чуть более солоноватое тесто, потому что чем больше воды, тем менее соленым оно становится. Поэтому соль обычно она использует 3%, но в этом замесе сейчас она использовала 3,5%. И картина довольно понятная и простая получается. 100% муки у нас, гидратация у нас в зависимости от типа муки, от типа смеси. Она говорит о том, что она часто довольно использует смесь самостоятельно, миксует 70/30, либо 60/40. Муки 2,0 плюс тип 0, или например, 2,0 плюс тип 1. Вот такую смесь делает самостоятельно и на ней уже работает. И в зависимости от этой смеси делает гидратацию сегодня 85%, ну, можно попробовать и с 80%. Опять же, вы видели, сколько, да, заметок у Фэн в ее ежедневнике, в ее воркбуке, очень много заметок, и мы очень часто об этом говорим, то, что не останавливайтесь на том, какую рецептуру вы получили, будь то на наших курсах, будь то на обучении где-то там в Италии, или самостоятельно придя к какому-то рецепту, всегда экспериментируйте. Каждый день пытайтесь поменять какие-то нюансы, записывайте, что вы поменяли, на что это повлияло, чтобы постоянно двигаться, развиваться и получать разные вкусы, разные результаты, и совершенствоваться в этом процессе, как делает Фэн, делает тесто, пиццу каждый день. So, and do you use the yeast, or just the starter is enough to make the fermentation of the dough?
I usually I always just use starter. As I mentioned before, the rye starters are really powerful. It got this. But I do know a few pizza makers that like to put in a little bit of yeast to kind of create a little bit more stability. And that's something I would like to try in the future, but I haven't gotten around to yet. I saw a couple of questions in the chat. One was about how to get the Leopard Crust. And the second was something about 3% starter. So you have a long window to use the dough but less pronounced flavor. Oh, okay. So about flavor, the inoculation doesn't necessarily change whether or not you'll have a starter flavor. So for me, the reason why I use 3% is because I want my dough to develop over a longer period of time for the flavors that develop. I like a lot of flavor in my dough, so it definitely doesn't reduce the flavor. I hope that answers your question. And then about the leopard spots, right? Leopard spots are basically bubbles. Hold on, we got some here. Okay, so these are just bubbles, right? So if you know that they're bubbles, then you know you just need to develop air in your dough. And if you can do that and keep it in the crust, and bake it at a high temperature, then you got leopard spots. That's it. It's as simple as those two things. Yeah.
Так, я спросила еще про дрожжи, добавляет ли она дрожжи при замесе. Она говорит о том, что она не добавляет дополнительных дрожжей, потому что стартер все делает, всю эту работу, весь процесс ферментации, брожения, это все за счет стартера происходит. Но она говорит то, что некоторые пиццейолы, она видела, что добавляют дополнительно немного дрожжей, это нормально, это опять же к тому, к какой рецептуре вы придете, что вам понравится, добавлять дрожжи. Не добавлять, это нужно все экспериментировать и пробовать. И сейчас вопрос есть о том, какого веса шарик. Сейчас мы уточним, какого веса делает Фэн пиццебола. Фэн, and there is a question about the dough weight. So what is the weight of the dough ball you're using?
So today's was 260, but again, that will depend on your flour's extensibility. So if you are not able to stretch out your dough, it may be because your flour doesn't have that extensibility to stretch out very far. So yeah, it just depends on the flour and also how you've fermented it. Because, you know, if you use like a Polish or a biga, you can actually develop some extensibility in those doughs. So think 260, but if you're finding that your dough ball weight is more or less to get like, you know, a 12-inch or an 11-inch, whichever size you're going for, it might be because of your flour or your fermentation, if you want to kind of increase ability. I had problems with that when I first started, because I was using a bread flour when I first started. And bread flours are very strong, but not necessarily very extensible. So like my dough just kind of kept snapping back like an elastic band. Like I would try to stretch it out, get it this big, and then it'll just go back to this size. And I thought I was doing something wrong, and just turns out I was using a flour that wasn't meant to stretch out that far.
По поводу веса шара, Фэн говорит, что сегодня использовала 260 грамм вес шарика, но это, опять же, можно регулировать тем, во-первых, какую муку вы используете, насколько она позволяет эластично растягиваться тесту в той или иной граммовке. И она говорит о том, что в начале своего пути она использовала муку для хлеба. Мука для хлеба – это довольно такая сильная мука, чрезмерно, но не всегда эластичная. Поэтому у нее была проблема, что шар теста при растяжении снова обратно собирался. Ну, то есть очень тяжело было растянуть его, и она думала, что она делает что-то не так, но оказалось, что она использует просто неподходящую муку. Поэтому мы тоже часто говорим о том, что используйте специализированную муку для пиццы, подходящую, с подходящей силой и другими характеристиками, которые подойдут именно для вашей технологии, для вашего вида теста. So we have another question I saw now. I've been having problems developing the gluten network, the pizza dough when kneading by hand. You see the question about the kneading by hand?
Question. Yeah, I love the question. Yeah, so fellow hand kneader, I feel you. It took a lot of practice for me to figure out what I should be like, what the dough should be like at the end of that kneading, right? And okay, sorry, I know that person probably can't tell me verbally, but if you've ever seen dough that's being mixed in like your professional stand mixer, right? And how they turn into that pumpkin shape over time. Of course, we're not going to create that pumpkin shape with our arms, although I'd love to see someone be able to do that. That would be very impressive. But what we're looking for is that level of smoothness. So you notice when the dough becomes that pumpkin shape, it's so beautiful and smooth. We can achieve that with hand kneading as well. I like to use something like the robot method. So that's where you're kneading in the bowl itself. Again, mostly because I don't like to clean up. I like to keep clean up as minimal as possible. So I like to knead in the bowl. And then like, what you do is you just kind of stretch the dough up. It'll stick to the bowl to start with at the start. But over time, as you keep repeating that movement where you're stretching the dough upwards, you'll start to find that the dough releases from the bowl, and that's a great sign. So that's step one. When your dough starts to release from the bowl, you're like, okay, you know, the party's happening. And then you keep doing that, and eventually your dough becomes this beautiful, smooth mass, and that's it. That's how you know you've developed the gluten. And then, of course, you've got that window pane test that maybe you've seen before, where basically you take the dough and you stretch it out thinly, and it hopefully holds together if the gluten has developed, and you should be able to see light through it. And when you finally get that window pane working, it's such a great moment. I hope that helped.
So about how long do you make the mixing by your hand? How long does it take?
I think when you've practiced and you know the movement, and the movement's so natural, it can be 10 minutes. But I think starting out, I actually did 15 to 20 sometimes when you know, like I wasn't that fast and I wasn't quite sure what I was trying to achieve. So now it takes 10 minutes, but in the beginning, it did take me 15 to 20 minutes to get to that point. Yeah.
У нас был в чате вопрос о том, каким образом Фэн вручную замешивает тесто, и многие тоже дома у себя вручную замешивают тесто без использования специальных миксеров, да, которые используются в пиццериях. И как нужно понять, в какой момент тесто готово, то есть в какой момент мы можем его уже отправить там на созревание, либо оставить его в покое, чтобы оно отдохнуло после замеса. Фэн говорит о том, что примерно в начале пути у нее занимал замес 15 минут ручной, но потом уже, когда ты приноровишься, и у тебя уже точные движения, ты знаешь, что делать, то это занимает примерно 10 минут. В принципе, нужно обращать внимание на структуру глютена. То есть есть такой тест, да, на глютеновое окно, когда вы растягиваете тесто руками, и эта пленочка, которая образуется при растяжении, она должна быть прозрачной, пропускать свет и не рваться. Тогда мы видим, что глютеновая сеть уже начинает строиться, и вот это вот глютеновое окно, тест на глютеновое окно помогает нам понять, что тесто уже готово, и можно его перемещать уже на созревание. So we had another question, in our chat. I am new to making pizza at home. Is there a standard guide for how should it is? Yeah, we just talked about this, about the percent of flour, salt, yeast, water to use. Maybe you can repeat it shortly for Alan.
Hi there. if you're new, I'm so excited for you. Like, it's such a cool thing to start. My recipe is up on my website, if that helps. We just talked about it. I wouldn't say there's a standard. There's definitely a traditional, which is the Neapolitan traditional way of doing it. But the reason why there's no standard is because the type of pizza that you might like to eat might be different from the traditional Neapolitan style. Like, so your recipe can follow your preference and what kind of end result you're trying to make. And the recipe that I have on my website is the result that I like, which is like a very flavorful dough, soft, but with like a nice crisp. That's what I'm going for. So that's what that recipe hopefully should help you to achieve. Hope this helps.
Yeah, Fan, and I also wanted to ask you about the fermentation. Do you use the long fermentation, right, for your dough? And do you use the cold fermentation also to make the dough? Maybe you can tell us about the fermentation and what do you use to make this great
For sure. So initially, I like to always double my dough at room temperature. Lately, I found that that's not necessary. You will just get totally different flavors in the dough depending on whether you double or not. But then if you do get your dough to double at room temperature, there is a slight higher chance that it might over ferment. So, you know, like all these micro decisions that we make about our dough along the way just leads to different results and consequences at some point. Usually I'm, so with that 3% starter that I like to use, it will be it will have risen the dough quite a lot by 7 hours. Oh, sorry, back to our notebook. So over here, you will see that there's always this line, and then there's like a number next to that line. So that's me recording my bulk ferment time for that batch of dough. So like here, here. I found with 3% of my starter, and like, you know, my starter might be a different activity or than someone else's starter. With mine, 7 hours will do it. The best way, instead of time, to keep tabs on your dough is by tracking its volume. And in the beginning, I like to take a little bit of dough out and put it in like a small jar with straight edges so that you could really see how far the dough has risen. Because when you put it in a bowl, right, you know, like if it actually doubles in the bowl, that's actually volumetrically so much more than double, like maybe 2.5 instead of 2. You know, the bowl is skinnier at the bottom than the top. So if you're starting out and you want to keep track of your fermentation, definitely like have like a little tester in a separate jar. So you can really see how much your dough has risen in that bulk ferment. So
this is a great tip. Yeah, this is a great tip.
It helped me a lot,
actually, because when the dough
it's impossible. You can. I think maybe the best pizza maker in the world might be able to work with over fermented dough, but not me.
Not yet, maybe not yet. Я спросила у Фэн по поводу ферментации, да, по поводу созревания теста. Она сказала то, что, конечно, используют и созревание при комнатной температуре их и в холодильнике. Она предпочитает после замеса, чтобы тесто созревало при комнатной температуре в объеме, то есть вы его не делите на шарики, вы его в объеме оставляете в контейнере, и до того момента, пока оно не увеличится в 2 раза. Как это понять? Да? Может пройти 7 часов, может пройти 8 часов. Как это понять? Но можно кусочек этого теста поместить в небольшой контейнер с четкими мерками, с границами, чтобы вы поняли, когда в 2 раза именно увеличилось тесто, вы посмотрите в этот небольшой контейнер, потому что когда в объеме оно у вас созревает, очень сложно понять, когда вот этот момент произошел, когда ровно в 2 раза увеличилось тесто. And after the bulk fermentation, you will make the pizza balls, and then these pizza balls are going to a cold fermentation, right?
So I get a question a lot about whether you should ball before cold fermentation or after. And I think the best answer is it's depending on your fridge space and how much dough you're making. Because when you keep your dough in one bulk, it's actually less storage space required in your fridge. So like if you were making a large batch, for example, you would have to have maybe a dedicated fridge just to store all these trays of dough balls. So if you're making a large batch, it might actually be better to keep it in a bulk for the cold ferment. But if you do that, you need to put it into cold ferment earlier because it takes longer for that large mass of dough to cool down and slow down slow down the activity of the yeast. So again, preventing fermentation. So yeah, in my case, I'm making 3 to 6 dough balls in a batch for my personal consumption. So I'm able to ball before cold fermentation. And then I'll usually cold ferment for 2 more days. And then like it'll be 72 hours and then and beyond. Actually, I eat my dough balls from 48 hours. So second day and then like the third day will be 72 and so on and so forth until it's the next batch.
Да, после того, как тесто созревает в объеме, Фэн делит его на шарики на нужное количество. Ну, для себя она делает там 4-6 шариков, и их уже отправляет на холодное созревание в холодильник минимум на 2 дня, то есть 48 часов, ну, лучше даже и на 3 дня. То есть здесь у нас развиваются вкусовые как раз качества теста, оно улучшается и при работе будет у вас эластичнее, интереснее в работе, и по вкусовым качествам, конечно, будет отличаться от теста, которое вы будете использовать прямо сейчас. So Fan, maybe you can share with us some another tips that you have after this way of working with the dough each day, every day. And of course, I would like to ask you maybe the final question for me. What is pizza for you?
Oh my gosh, that's philosophical. I don't know how to put into words how I feel about pizza. Sometimes I kind of feel like, to someone who doesn't love pizza, it must be so weird. Like, it's just pizza, right? But I don't know. Somehow when you make it, there's like just a sense of fulfillment, and it's just such a rewarding process. And every day there's something different, and every day is a new pizza that in the details is totally different from yesterday's pizza. Like, so, especially when you have a dough that's kind of fermenting for different periods of time each day, like the flavors are totally different in that dough. I'm grateful to have this, have found something that makes me so happy. And I'm excited if I can share it.
I think it's all about also a diversity. It's a whole universe of pizza making, and I really share your thoughts, and I really share your approach that you're making it with love, with passion, and yes, it was really interesting to see how you're working with your pizza, and it is also interesting to follow you in Instagram and see your whole experiments that you're making with all this yes, yeah, with all this passion and love that you share through the pizza with people, all over the world. So I'm really grateful and really appreciate that you were today in our live stream, and I think we can make it again, maybe with another pizza.
Thank you so much for having me, and also like to those who tuned in, thanks for sticking around. Hope it was helpful. And do you guys want to quickly see the bird's nest? Like, I'll quickly show you from here.
Yeah, please.
So this was the reason why I couldn't speak while we were baking just now, is because there's a bird's nest right underneath my pizza oven, the Gosney Dome. And there it is. Do you see like that bundle of twigs right there? Yeah, actually, hold on. Let me. Yeah. Hold on. Okay, just going out.
Oh my God, it's so good. Yeah,
So
it's amazing.
That's why we were being quiet just now. And thanks so much, Victoria, for helping me out.
Yeah, this is the cutest moment that we ever had on our live stream.
They're actually so the birth of this thing.
And oh, and I'm actually also excited that you're the first lady. It's the yellow lady that was in our live streams too. Yeah. So I'm really excited to have the live stream with such a great, and you're a great person. It can see through your Instagram account and everything that you do. So thank you very much for your time and for your share with us with your secrets and everything. So let's hope to see each other. Maybe in Bangkok or maybe
I
in
would love
Russia.
that.
we will be happy to see you here. So see you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Have a nice Sunday and
take care, Victoria. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.